Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to another exciting, innovating, and amazing Propagandacast from your host, Pearl Dane, the one and only Master Propaganda, who loves like defender of the fatherland, of it all, one own Faymonville approach. In the north, it is Mamali Turchi, fighting here for the German army, Deutschland, the Deutsches of the Corps, out of its desert element, here with the 16th Panzer Division with Italian combined arms. We got some Bessieri, we got some bikes, both starting with B. In the southeast, there's Theodosios, the man, not the Emperor, fighting for freedom, democracy, and liberty. Here with the US 3rd Armored Division and Advanced Infantry, which has definitely been seeing a bit of a return there. So, they're just talking about cars games and lost a bit of track. But yeah, Triple Scouts Engineers here, and a weapon support looks to be part of that new build that's happening. You know, with Advanced Infantry, we go for a bunch of Scouts, because Scouts are great at capturing territory, can still fight off some mainline infantry in the early game, supported by Theodosios, and of course, like, you just switch into artillery observers, and they sort of become a bit better there. And then, of course, you get theoretic front rangers, you got artillery, you got F company. Some variation. It's kind of like, you know, airborne, just not quite as fast in that sense, and without the air support, but you get artillery. So, got a bit of light skirmish here and there. Theodosios already clashing in with German vanguard troops here. Of course, a good portion of the map. You've got 30 cows there for Theodosios, and of course, worth noting, German army did have scouts as well. Hell, even the Italian army did have scouts. It's just, for some reason, only the Americans get them. So, little fun side note there, of course, in the more sort of, shall we say, armoured units, the Panzer Divisions, the Scouts, were more the armoured cars, maybe some tanks. The infantry just kind of sort of perform more of a support role for them, though. Technically, they were also trained as Scouts, and typically were, you know, of a higher quality as well there. But anyway, Scouts are being pushed back, Panzer Pioneers, there's the area added. First vertical out here for Theodosios. Looks like Maui there's going to go, or Turchi there's going to keep pushing up for some Bessieri. South side here, Bessieri pushing back off the Scouts. See 30 calcium up home to bait in the Bessieri. Maybe he senses something there and is not pulling in there because he's seen enough Scouts. So, and that's like a thing also worth noting here in the current meta game. You see like a lot of Scouts. You definitely should expect 30 cows as well behind them. It is very standard at the moment. Even if you don't go for infantry, if you go for like the Scouts, you're definitely going for weapon supports and then 30 cows. But again, there's definitely like, you know, chunk of players who go for advanced infantry simply for the artillery observers. Super team almost done with Theodosios. Third Bessieri squad there, ready to meet the Americans head on. And quickly wiring off here, thumbs up to the Turchi. From Northern Victory points well so far, good lead here for the Deutsches after they caught against the Deutsches and the Americans. Caught him a bit unprepared there, using more aggressive mobile units there against the Scouts. Backed up by a bike, which does make it a bit harder for the Deutsches, at least in the early game, to execute the strategy. It's going to focus northwards, where there's definitely going to be, I think, more resistance out of his opponent. Light support company for the Turchi. I don't know how to say that one. Got the Scouts heading westwards there as well. Head on assault here from Theodosios, followed by the 30 cal there. An upgrade for the Scouts. Can go for till observers now. But then it goes for them. That was another matter entirely. But the flank granite catching Scout pushing further towards the centre. In the south, he almost had the fuel point. Actually went straight for the cutter point instead. Still responds here with Theodosios. Fire support on this almost done there. Holy Turkey. Got Bessieri push, or the Scouts push back, definitely not Bessieri, and they got hunting down the Americans. 30 cal setting up to be catch them here. As for Theodosios' base, we're not seeing much there happening. Perhaps he's not planning that sort of observer sort of build. Interesting. He's got something else in mind here. And again, he might be trying it out, and so might not quite have the timings right, which can happen with the best of players. If the sort of show, say, delving into a new strategy, at least one they're not still fully comfortable with because they notice other players doing it and think, you know what, this looks pretty neat. Italian troops on the coordinate here so far. Theodosios really bad map control of the Italians, being used, I think, to great effect here by Turchi, sneaking about there, using the mobility, the sprinting ability, alongside the bikes, just, you know, aggressively pick fights with Theodosios. And of course here, Theodosios flying heavily on the Scouts and single 30 cal isn't exactly being helped either. So the Bessier in that sense are a good counter to this type of strategy to just shut down one of the scout's main advantages, which is the mobility. Now the 30 caliber Theodosios still not till observers. There we go. Upgrade finally up. Of course, this all signals to the Turchi what his opponent's gone for. Of course, this theoretically could be a reason Theodosios might have wanted to wait a bit. I'm not entirely sure what sort of information he might have been hiding there, but it does prevent, like, you know, the Turchi, like, from having that information each so a while, but not entirely sure where you go for, like, you know, a specific counter that could be disrupted by waiting and hiding the information for a bit. Now, Theodosios needs map control, and he's already, like, significantly behind victory point. We're always talking, like, you know, 200-point difference within the first 6 minutes. Not exactly a feel-good moment here for the Americans.
Support is ready to deploy.
30 columns on the center getting swamped by German troops there. Got flak filling half it there. Further adding to the Turki's mobility and firepower combo. And the complicating matters, of course, here for Theodosios even more aggressively, since he needs one bazooka team and otherwise is lacking in anti-tank assets. In fact, he's now going for the support center, meaning an anti-tank half of an M16, which would be some of his, you know, more immediate counter picks of this are not going to be happening anytime soon. So he first needs to get the support center going, then he gets the half track, and then he upgrades. So that's going to be a significant amount of time there, but the flak filling half track can do very uncomfortable things to Theodosios. This is all again as he loses almost every point. Then it goes losing the fuel point outside his base. Theodosios absolutely getting squeezed here. Really brutal development, and certainly again highlights there are certainly some counter strategies to what Theodosios is going for, and as DAK at least, that's Bessieri. Thumbs up to the Turchi. Of course, as the Wehrmacht, you don't quite have that same, like, you know, ease of accessibility of just, you know, being able to call in very speedy Italians, but there's certain options. Assault grenades all tied here. Clearly, the Turchi is not concerned about Theodosios hitting with any light vehicles anytime soon, which is interesting. I figure he would be in a bit more on guard for, like, one of the potential biggest threats that could be to his current state of affairs, which would be an American light vehicle, like a half-track with the M16 upgrade, or M16, or, you know, the anti-tank half-track upgrade. We'll see.
A victory point is being taken from us.
We're likely, though, to go for the anti-tank half-track, but I do think the M16 certainly would help against a lot of other things as well. But I digress. Got the Bessier bolts up there for the Turchi. So far, though, Theodosios feeling the heat here still of the German army. M3 half-track right around the corner there for Theodosios. Right around the corner, and there you go, M3 half-track out. And yeah, it's going to be the anti-tank half-track. It's going to be a good counter to the flak feeling, plus other light vehicles here that Turkey's gone for, and can bombard. Of course, it's not going to, like, you know, as aggressively and actively counter some of all these Bessier or the assault grenades. But again, I do get the prioritization here from Theodosios. And arguably is probably the better one of the anti-tank. There you go, pushing forwards here. Almost got the upgrade there. 250 half-track get knocked out. 30 caliber pushed off with the assault grenades. Got the 250. Not the biggest blow here to the Germans. Losing a light half-track. It's not exactly going to be, you know, something that leaves them up awake at night. But, you know, it is annoying. Soldiers rushing forwards here. Another 30 cal for Theodosios. Predicting where the opponent's going to go with the assault grenades. Start combining. Thumbs up into Theodosios. Unfortunately, the assault grenades can just walk past that. I know devious German play. Goddamn crouch dodging artillery. Goddamn scum. Make me sick. To the south here, up to Lipsos, the captain holding up into the Italian Bessier school. We do get the Breda Modello 30 there for the Turkey. And the 16 Panzerdivision, giving his men a significant boost there in firepower. It's significant to get the Breda Modello 30. Probably one of the worst light machine guns of the Second World War. Especially North Africa performed very poorly as they could not handle the South Pole.
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
Switching belts under fire!
Theodosios not doing much more with the battle group so far.
Victory
You'll
point
again at the side of the base being strapped. There you go. Third 30 caliber machine gun there. Let's lose showing those Italians who's in charge. Now the pursuit team Theodosios is clearly concerned about enemy light vehicles, but also change of armor here, either from that Panzer Commando, but also potentially like here now. I could imagine like the M1340 maybe being a, like, you know, slightly heavy weight there upon Theodosios' crown there. South side here, Bezier pushed off, could open up the southern front finally here for Theodosios. Anti-tank half trickles need repair. Second bazooka team ready with their bazookas. I know, big shock.
20 mil. Eager to take the fighters out. Start filling those sacks. Defensive position completed.
Sandbags up, thumbs up. We got 516. Looks like Theodosios, at least for a brief while, is stopping the bleed. We got their advanced logistics for cheaper reinforcements. Always a good idea, especially when you got this many squishy units. That can be a lot of manpower getting saved there by Theodosios very quickly. It's not like he's going to be going for like tanks anytime soon anyway, so you know, spending attack these preserved manpower a bit more efficiently, it's not going to be like a bad idea by Theodosios at all. So, thumbs up to that one.
New Tiger tanks will be made
And
available
the Turchi
shortly.
here goes straight from reserve. Rather than pushing for Panther 3s right now, he's, you know, trying to get a bit heavier there and aim for something, well, heavier and faster. I mean, there definitely are some merits to that, but at the same time, this also does mean there's more room for Theodosios to stage more of a comeback in that. Meanwhile, depending on, like, you know, how much of a big thing the Turchi is investing into, like if it's a Tiger tank, that really gives Theodosios a lot more wiggle room to get into the game compared to, say, you know, the Panther 4 pair Stugs. So we'll have to see, but I do think this is definitely just a tiny bit risky there for the Turchi, and does risk giving Theodosios enough time to like stage more of an actual opening. Fourth, 30 caliber machine gun there. I was about to say 40 caliber machine gun, which I don't think has ever been a thing.
Territory sector out of. Semovente assault guns are available to
The
deploy,
30, the
Commandant.
50, but no 40. Meanwhile, the Turchi there with the Semovente, probably going for it, though we need to be dead. Slope 7 team are definitely about to observe the last artillery. Cut down by the Germans and the Italians. But in the south here, Theodosios is making excellent headway as the Turchi has completely abandoned, giving up for free aid to the US forces in the south. I mean, that could pay off, but it's also like, you know, he's giving his opponent like just, you know, free real estate for all intents and purposes. Set Theodosios for the time being, again, does have a larger force here in the field, so that probably also plays a role to part because, again, the Turchi is setting aside resources for something bigger. But what is it? An MP-34? Maschinengewehr 34.
The enemy has taken a victory point.
Got these also reports of the MP-40s, the Maschinenpistolen 40, or by the Allies, colloquially known by the Allies as the Schmeisser, because they thought Hugo Schmeisser had designed it. I was wondering who the devil was Hugo Schmeisser. He was the guy who designed the MP-18, no one of the first submachine guns. He also designed a bunch of other submachine guns after that. But he did not actually have a hand in the MP-40. So, there's a little fun fact there.
Taking small arms fire here. Losing man.
169 is 212. Theodosios still behind, but he's definitely making again more of a return there. As the Turchi might just be going for a Panther 4 soon enough. I mean, that does give him a Panther 4 and more infantry, so it's not a bad package to do. Theodosios go for upgrade bazookas, and there you go. F Company summoned forth. It definitely seems like the ability, I think, is making a comeback. As people, you know, go about with the artillery observers, and then remembering that, oh, hang on, this ability was really, really, really good in the past. So good, they had to nerf it. And then, of course, they also remember that, hang on, the nerf was, you know, barely a nerf. Like, of course, it did nerf it, but not, I think, in, like, really, you know, significant. And there you go. Hand of what here for Theodosios, the Panzerkampfwagen 4. The assault grenades running along there.
Enemy forces have claimed our sector. We have lost control of a victory
There
point.
you go, flak filling is the F Company force there. Bringing south to the soldiers on the Panda 4 wasn't a contact German troops by launch their armour because they didn't have like typically enough transport for the infantry anyway, so and then like on the Panda force, the Panda force of the Stug, like you know, was relatively common. Of course, not as common as in the Soviet army, where it very much was direct doctrine to the point they actually welded handles onto the tanks, like the T-54 and the I-2 and so on there, which the infantry like more to hold on to. Fun facts there about tank riding. Find the Panda 4 there up north, the F Company. Not doing too much there for Theodosios, except does keep the Turchi there a bit on the back foot. So far, Theodosios got a really good, comeback going here. Part of that is definitely, I think, down just, holding out for that Panda 4 with assault grenades instead of just, going for some tanks more immediately, or a Panda 3 and a Stukas. Of course, certainly some paths that can be taken there by the Turkey. We'll have to see how that goes. Of course, now going for like some Panzer 3s, M1340s, Stukas forces. I'd say are, viable considerations here for the Turkey before Theodosios, really ramps up with some potential tanks here. Though so far, we're not seeing any tank depots there from Theodosios, so who knows? Maybe he never goes there. Not impossible. North here tilts over a bit of trouble here. There's the catch up behind the flanking half a little loose. Good flanking shot here. We got the Panther 4 moving in. More tilts over the other way for Theodosios. Good shot on the flak filling half track there. Anti-tank half track withdrawing swiftly. Note that in the Western Theatre, these will only see limited usage before they got replaced by the M10 tank destroyers and so on there. A bunch of them will be handed over to the Soviets, made use of them until the very end of the war, and a bunch were actually sent over to the Pacific, but apparently they did fairly well there. So, fun fact, in fact, there's a lot of equipment that saw, some greater service in the Pacific front than they did on the Western front. Southside here, smoked quite a good work there by Turkey. Considered mines, decided against it. Now they've come and pushed it with Theodosios. There you go, machine and team in a lot of trouble for the internal half take better than two of that. Good work there by Theodosios. Got a bit of resource float there again. Could be going for a tank depot in a moment now. Or having something else entirely, not possibly with Theodosios. As for the Turkey, not entirely sure what his game plan is as we are speaking. It's going to be,
the enemy has claimed our sector.
Panda 3s, some Stukas versus.
For the victory point!
Plenty of options there. Got the tank depot with Theodosios. Thumbs up to that. That's for the Turkey. Again, he's like, a bit of an enigma there, but he's definitely losing map control very fast.
Armory upgrade underway!
Okay, we got the emergency repair kits. Not a bad idea, I think, but I think for Turkey right now, just having more tanks out would be a much better thing than having the one tank he has and some of the vehicles do self-repairs. Of course, just my thoughts, but I think he needs more units on the field, not so much upgrades for said units on the field.
Armory upgrade complete, Commandant.
On the east side here, aggressive flank of the Turkey utilizing the mobility of the town troops, spooking near Theodosios completely, causing collapse in the northern end of the American front line. Good strike here by the Turkey. Thumbs up. Italian troops with German support here, causing immense damage here to Theodosios and the forces of democracy and liberty. Tank depot right around the corner. Will it be Hellcat? Will it be Sherman? Will it be 105 machine? Right, so all options there on the table. Picture punch whilst we are seeing Theodosios bring down the Turchi to his level. Very good stuff there, thumbs up. I do think he'd be applying a bit more pressure on the left side as well. He's still not doing much with this battle group. You all know? You're not seeing, you know, tank strafing around and so on. Theodosios, I mean, he's got the house, he's just a question, does he want, like, how to fortify up, does he want
Enemy forces have taken our territory.
Stuck as a bus for the Turchi, I mean, does make sense. Small crap map, only has, like, a lot of squishy targets, does have a lot of support weapons, so the Stuck as a bus, I think, is an excellent pick for the Turchi today. It's going to be painful for Theodosios unless he, like, aims it very poorly, which is, like, a possibility. But assuming he doesn't, it's going to add some challenges to Theodosios in his positioning. Something up here. Stuckcutter first, all of a sudden the bazooka team completely whiffs the surprise attack on the flak-filling half-tank. Meanwhile, the artillery fire clears out the enemy field for F company held down. Sherman halfway down there for the Turchi. For Theodosios, not the Turchi. Turkey that's got the Stuckcutter right around the corner here, running with immense rocket artillery to smash opponents' positions into dust and ashes.
Commandant, Stuka fighters are on set. A victory point is being taken from us.
Panzer being withdrawn. Try and grab that enemy field fortress against the crouch. West side, the artillery observers feeling the heat as German troops inch ever closer. But Theodosios staging a pretty good turn push back against his opponent. Got straight from guns and we got the silver cover ability, I think it's called. Yep, there we go. Been a while. I feel like I don't see that ability enough lately to me to remember the name.
Proximity alarm near our victory
It's a bit
point.
silly, but here we are. So once more, we are seeing a big push for victory points. In fact, Theodosios almost got triple cap here on the Turchi.
Enemy forces have captured
South
the
machine
victory
team
point.
holding up the assault grenadiers. Stuckcutters was there hanging back. Done so far nothing. They're waiting for the right time to strike. Unless I missed them completely miserably
The enemy holds all
with
victory
barrage.
points. Launch a counterattack at once.
Orders carried out to the letter, Commandante.
Enemy MG! This is a killing zone!
Dirty covers the assault grenadiers. And then the Stuckcutter Fuss unleashing hell. 6 rockets.
Forces have taken our territory.
30 caliber wiped out another single blow to Theodosios, freedom and democracy. Blinding shot there from the tank half tank does leave the Panther for a bit of tough spot. The Super Team joining in there. No supporting for the Panther Force, definitely a bit of slip from the thing, but setting up his he's not moving in. Anti-tank have to rushing in first, I think. It's a bit bold, but at the same time, I can sort of see the logic as allowed to draw away attention from the Sherman, but typically I'd rather want it the other way around, so while I can see the logic, I'm not so sure I agree with it. Not getting the MD-34 though is quite handy there for Theodosios. Oh, we didn't grab. Oh, didn't. No, got the LC's there. Pushing him with the Panther 4 again. Will he prepares for it? Theodosios bazooka teams they're melting away. South side still seeing very limited action there. Theodosios with a bit of a hefty manpower and fuel flood. So we go for another tank. We can go for tank.
All batteries on alert. Fire at will.
And artillery cover there. Turkey, they're going in hard to right side opponent's base here. Massive artillery strike here. Somehow managed to find like a massive cache of shells just kept away there for a rainy day. As by 1943-44, the Germans were really struggling with artillery munitions, so there were definitely a lot of rationing, unless like, you know, for really important moments like a big offensive or like, you know, really desperate defense. Fun facts there as well. On 4697, it certainly would have been, I think, even more prevalent on the Italian front, which is very much considered a secondary front, so it was kind of on the lower end of the priority list for like any supplies from farther. barrage again here. Machine guns being dropped left and right. Another Sherman there for Theodosios. Thumbs up to that. South side, there we go. Flak feeling, forcing off that 30 cal mercilessly. 246 on 82.
Our victory point is being neutralized by
Panzer
the
Peony,
enemy.
they're busy with the Panzer IV.
We have lost control of a victory point.
On the move there. No sign of anything further. A few doses. Maybe he's just trying to decide. Maybe he's forgotten. Maybe he just doesn't care. There you go. Sherman 40. Fearlessly. The metal box of democracy charges right at the German-Italian lines.
Near our victory point.
Split Turkey. Well, I mean, I suppose it's not impossible he might decide he wants to go for a Tiger tank, but it's not going to come without his risks. Big guts of old training of Theodosios and his infantry. There's many machine guns and some other bits. Like, he's got a total of 6 machine guns. One of which I believe is an MG34, and the rest, I think, are just 30 cals. That's kind of, well, nuts. Oh, let's get the Panzer IV here. And the Panzer IV's down.
Our soldiers are falling in battle.
Losses being inflicted. And for those wondering, why do American players now build so many 30 cal machine guns? Because they gave it a damage reduction bonus, which for all intents and purposes turns into the pre-nerf CoH3 Max machine gun team, which could basically act as a frontline unit. Similarly, just by having a larger number of men and being fairly mobile, just like this
Our
one.
victory point is being neutralized.
Got the double
by
troops there for
enemy.
Mamali Turkey. 2 thumbs up to that. Lovely to see. And another F company out there, Theodosios.
The enemy has taken a victory point.
Whoa. I think that's going to be a mistake there out of the Turkey. That's definitely a mistake. Southside soldiers matching here. Up moving there, Theodosios, southern flank, thumbs up. We've got F company move. Got captains, bazooka team's got the anti-tank half-track here. Germans on the move there. Definitely consider some machine guns for the Stooks. Black feeling happening, show bazooka teams, and the anti-tank half-track. A lot of misses though. Very good luck there for the Turkey. Meanwhile, the assault in the centre takes up pace here. The Turkey definitely finds himself a bit squeezed here.
Our forces are down to 200.
Certainly a bit odd against an opponent with so many support and so much infantry weapons like Stooks. I mean, there's been the Wehrmacht Stooks, you'd have point blank blast. DAK Stooks do not have that. So, well, I'm not going to say they're bad if you just went for some machine guns. It's not the ideal pick. Like, just another Panzer would make more sense, I think, than the double Stooks. Maybe there was a misclick. I mean, that can happen.
We have been cut off. Re-establish a connection.
Ultimately, we'll have to see, but what happens next? It's not looking great for the Germans, despite having like a significantly high KD ratio than their opponents, 114 versus 76. They're still going for the Sherman. Stooks hunting down the Amerikanische Panzerkampfwagen. Got the troops in flank. They take half to go flag filling half tag. Knocked out, sting and blow there to Mamadi Turkey. Stooks charging in, exposing them to a lot of firepower there. Again, lag support for them. Not ideal. Mortar observers here out of Theodosios. Oh, lost a Stook, and I feel like that was a very avoidable loss as well. So, problems I think is going to increase here for the Germans, for the DAK. Deutschland. So, moving forwards here. Second Stook moving in range to avenge its fallen comrade, but it's so damaged, I think you should consider preparing it first. Maybe, like, you know, consider calling some cementers to back it up. away there. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is very nice to just go for full machine guns. Again, they are very much just like the Maxims out of CoH3 before they got nerfed. Then because, again, like, you know, they just ignore that chunk of damage, particularly once they get higher levels of excellency. It's kind of not great, and so far the nerf they have tried has just, as you might have noticed, had very little effect. I tell the Germans during World War II that they were being very naughty, and they should stop being naughty. That's about the same level of like effect that nerf had on that 30 cal. You might as well just totally, you're a very naughty 30 caliber machine gun. I need to stop being naughty, and obviously that does not work.
Support company structure is taking enemy fire.
So it seems of F Company are setting things up as well there.
Territory
64
lost.
versus 169. 62. 60. 58. F Company are getting destroyed, just not that it really matters what with the overwhelming advantage the Theodosios has on like pretty much almost every level, except, you know, that thing veneer, like it's going to have an advantage with a higher KD in infantry. It just doesn't matter. There's going to be significant and massive manpower advantage the Theodosios can generate.
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
Again, most of these casualties, by the way, are likely from F Company. So again, not quite as impressive
Forces have captured a victory point.
on paper as they are in reality. So, not looking great there for the Germans. So at this point, I think it's safe to this is absolutely GG. Like once the USF economy gets going in game, they're typically going to have a very bad time.
How could this happen?
That's pretty much what normally Turkey right now has. He's having a very bad time. There you go, GG.
Hunter pioneers lost.
The enemy has defeated.
Game over, a brutal match there. I do think getting good on more with the battle group and some of this teching, I think trying to go like straight for a Panther 4, for example, was a bit of a miss there. But that said, even if I think had to play, you know, a smarter strategic game there, a bit more smooth, a bit more efficient, the problem still would have been he was up against an American player just relying on their very powerful 30 caliber Maxim machine guns. And, you know, just the many advantages the USF can generate via upgrades from the Infantry Support Center over a longer game. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed something from it. Hope you learned something from it. This is Imperial Cheers, and see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye, everyone.